Good morning, everybody. This is the Aether TST meeting on January 24th, 2023. It's cold and rainy in Long Island and sunny and cool in California. With that weather report, now let's get to the news. I posted the link to the Aether TST meeting to chat if you don't have it. So that's what we'll be following. I won't share that unless well, actually here, let me share it. Let me show that to screen. All right, everybody able to see that all right?
Yes.
Yep. Okay, it's going to be short-lived just for my sharing. Amol, today this particular meeting will start with release status. So on release 2.1, Amol, I want to turn it over to you to provide status on that.
Okay. So okay. Can I share my?
Yep, share away.
Okay. Everyone can see my screen.
And
okay. Aether 2.1 release. So in this presentation, I'm going to cover what we have thought about in the last meeting and what we are up to. So regarding the Cube Spray investigation, whether the Multus version or even the Cube Spray version was suitable or not. So I have tested, you can see in the left side Cube Spray versions with the Multus version, suitable version, and with Kubernetes version. I have tested all the combination and all are failed. So we are not successful with the Cube Spray regarding only 3 combinations. So I not only test all only 3 combination, but the whole stack also. For example, RKE2, Docker, Helm, kubectl. kubectl is the client from where you can access the Kubernetes cluster. So these are the this is the chart where you can see all the tested environment I have tried to test and run the AIB on. So the latest version means the current version. This is what we have, 2.17, and this is the latest version, 2.20, regarding the Cube Spray. So ultimately, after testing all these different versions and combinations, and those are the test results. We AIB latest means the master branch, and AIB 2.0 is the 2.0 release of AIB. And we tested all those things, and we come to the conclusion that the Cube Spray is not at all successful on any of the testing environment that I have adopted for the Cube Spray investigation. So that's why I now deactivated, disabled all Cube Spray jobs. Now only RKE 2.0 and RKE Master 2.0 is running on the cluster. So this is the all about Cube Spray versioning investigation. Regarding the UE image, last time I have specified that
hang on before you jump to the UE image.
Okay.
Let me just kind of wrap a bow around this. Clearly, Cube Spray does not function.
Yes.
I'd be interested in any insights you might have as to why, but that's kind of orthogonal at this point. Is there anything specific we need to do? And I'm looking to you, Denise or Eric, in terms of communicating this, and Scott and others, of what are the impacts of essentially saying this is no longer supported? Do we know if anybody's using it?
Can you specify on what fails exactly? The AIB gets stuck in UE, doesn't get an IP address?
No, that is not even considered as an error, because that error we have been seeing quite long time. This is like not even Kubernetes cluster able to create on the test node. So
it's a more fundamental issue than the IP address one you're talking about, Badri.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we need to understand better. Is this a problem with Kube Spray itself is not working? I mean, are you not able to deploy any Helm charts on a Kube Spray cluster, or
The
is this
cluster.
a problem with just the Aether charts?
uh, 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 Specifically, I would like to say that even means, for example, I might have even opened some of the things. See, even this ready, okay, means even that the basic step is getting failed because of Kube Spray versioning and all those test cases. So in this case, I have tested on, let me see.
So it depends on what Either in a Box is doing for that particular Kube Spray ready step to see whether it's ready or not.
Yes.
I think we saw previously that the problem is to do with networking.
Yes, yes. So that's why I tested with Multus, because Multus is the package that we used for the testing. So currently, in the before, I think Andy replaced not Andy. I think Andy or Ajay. I'm not sure. So he replaced, because currently previously we were using the current version, that is 3.90 is the current version of the Multus, but 2.17 then it is replaced by 3.7.1, and that merge didn't happen at any point of time. But on the offline, I have tested this, and it is getting failed. So I have tested also with the 3.8. After 3.7, there is a next release 3.8, which is suitable for Kube Spray 18, 19, 20, 21. But no success at all.
So when did it finally work? Previously, do we have any data on in which versions did Kube Spray work?
So this version, 217, 3.7, 120.11. So in
This
that,
used to work.
yes, this used to work.
But how come it says that it's failed on the screen on that row?
Yeah, this is not a stable. That's why I marked it as a failed.
So I guess just to draw the distinction, you're seeing very fundamental failures.
Correct.
In, say the first combination line you've got.
Yes.
Are you seeing the same kind of failures with the second line, 217, 371, 120, or is that a different kind of failure?
No, in the second line, it is not stable. Sometimes it is possible to create, sometimes it is not.
Okay. So you're characterizing it as failed because it fails at least intermittently.
Yes. So means if we are not confident, then we should just mark it as a failed.
Well, I just want to draw for argument's sake, I want to draw the distinction so that we understand, where were we versus where we are now.
Yes.
And it sounds from what you're describing as it is a consistently failing situation with the new combination.
Yes.
Okay. So let me come back to the original question, the impact of saying Kube Spray is no longer supported. Do we understand what the impact of that is?
So as per last TST meeting, only SD core team were using the Kube Spray, and there was a discussion that maybe GS Lab was using the Kube Spray. But means, is there
anybody on here from the GS Labs?
GS Labs.
So they're not on, but I think I saw Laura on from Kajit, and Kajit works with GS Labs. So Laura, can you comment on this?
I can't speak intelligently. I apologize.
As far as I know, we are not using Kube Spray.
Okay, thanks, Jonathan.
Target production environment is Xanthos experimental.
Okay,
Okay.
good to know. All right, I guess the key here is you know we just need to understand what the impact is, but it doesn't sound like there's a path forward anyway. So with that, unless there's any further debate, it sounds like we'll be stopping support for Cube Spray as of this release.
Yes.
So I think that decision is fine. I'm just a little bit curious about the AIAB 2.0 and Cube Spray showing failures across the board. That was working as far as I know up until fairly recently. And I'm just wondering if we have looked into like what changed between the time, like the last successful run I see of that job is January 17th.
Yes.
And then something obviously changed and now it doesn't work anymore.
Fair question.
So the job that you are seeing is basically the second line, 2.17, not 3.71. I think that commit was never merged that you did on AIB. So 3.9 and 120.11. That the first line.
Okay, so that combination just stopped working for some reason, like a week or two
Yes.
ago. Okay, and we don't really know why that is.
Could it be OS patches? I mean, 18.04 is still getting updates, I think. So I'm just wondering if something has changed there.
Possibly.
So I guess my ask here is Amol, if you can work with maybe Andy and others just to try and put a definitive statement on as to why it no longer works. Right? What do we think has changed that causes it to no longer work? I think that would be helpful. Doesn't have to be done in real time, and I understand that's not necessarily a top priority, but I think being able to explain that will go a lot better with anybody who was using it before. Okay, thank you. Why don't you let me let you continue.
Okay, so that was the investigation regarding the Cube Spray. The next is UE image identified that Andy's personal repository has the UE image. So in the search, I found out that there is one more image which has created by Jeremy under the OMAC project, ONF's OMAC project. I tried to use that image while building the AIAB, but it ended up in running failed to deploy OAI SIM. So I revert back to each and every change that I have made in the AIAB to use that image.
So I looked into this a little bit because I didn't remember exactly what this image was. The reason why I created this image in the first place is it's just a convenience for AIAB. It's like just an optimization to speed things up a little bit. If the image is not available, then AIAB will download the OAI SIM source code and build it for you on a local machine, but that takes, I don't know, 15-20 minutes. And so I created a system where it looks in my repository to see if there's already an image built for that specific kernel that you're running. And if there is, then it'll use it. So I think if another way to move forward, if we decided we wanted to keep that system, is just like, for whatever kernels we're running now, just go ahead and build the images locally and then push them to whatever repository we want. basically recreate the image that gets built anyhow.
Effectively cache the image.
Yeah,
So-
yeah, it's just a cache of these images.
Correct. So with that respect, what I did the image in your personal repository have a specific tag which is connected with the operating system. That tag is not present in the OMAC project image. So that's why I could not use that image. That's why it was trying to create the new image. Then what I did, I removed that required tag information from the template itself, means the job template itself, so that because whenever we pull some image, we required the image as well as the tag. But if we don't specify the tag, it will pull up the whatever the image that we are talking about. So that also I tested with, but I was not successful in that scenario also. So that's why I thought, okay, let's keep it as it is and let's going forward for just now.
Okay, so I mean, it Andy, it sounded like what you were suggesting was straightforward, but it sounds like you weren't able to get it to work. Am I understanding that correctly?
No, actually, Andy, and Andy is saying that it's a simple image and we can build it on our own and we can upload it to the project. So, and if that image, while building AIAB, if that image will cannot be pulled in the AIAB environment, then it try to create its own, because we have provided that information how to create that image. So he is telling that the failed to deploy OAI SIM is regarding that error.
But so
am I right?
Again, maybe I'm just not as quick on the uptake. It sounds like if it doesn't find the cached version of it, it will build it.
Correct.
And that takes, call it 15 minutes longer.
Yes.
Does that work correctly?
In the AIB, yes.
Okay. So it's really just an optimization that we're living without.
Yes.
Okay.
So currently it's not a blocker.
Okay.
For
Yeah.
the AIAB release, it is just one point that we have to address some point of time. It is not a blocker.
Okay, understood. And it sounds like that, therefore we can make a decision over whether we address it in 2.1 or not.
Right.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Thanks. Now the context is clear now. Thank you.
Yeah.
Please continue.
So the latest test, means the master version, is quite stable. The one of the job that is running that got failed is regarding that UE does not get an IP address that we can ignore. Other than that, you can see and here we are doing the test 4G core as well as test 5G core. So testing is also be done with respect to the deployment. So this is the latest test, means latest version, that is master version, which is going to be AIAB 2.1. This is the 2.0 version. You can see that is also stable, and the same 5G test is failed because of that. The another test failed is a different issue. So that is no need to cover. It was merge mistake. So the testing that we have are all those testing, means Aether system test and AIAB repository make test. So currently what we are doing is right hand side AIAB repository make test, means what I'm here showing about test 4G and test 5G, all those are 4G and 5G under AIAB repository make test. Okay, so Aether system test, due to NG40 unavailability, we could not cover the left-hand side column test, that is SD core and Aether system test NG40. However, the ROC, thanks to Sean, he has uploaded, he is trying to create, means he has created a branch where he has uploaded some of the information regarding 2.1 API result. So based on that information, if we see that the circle shows the status of the test. So why I make SD core in front of Aether system test yellow circle, because I got the input from the SD core team that they are testing it manually. So that's the status regarding SD core test. About ROC API test, Sean has just uploaded that test environment to the Aether system test. Sean, unless and until you will merge it, I cannot create any test on the API, so that I cannot run any test. So
Yeah, I
you have-
mean, as I wrote in the email, it's not as simple as just changing the number and the tests run.
Correct.
There are some kind of structural issues in how the tests are written that don't allow them to work with the 2.1 model. Now I've pinged Abhilash, and I'm going to have a meeting with him to try and understand, you know, what the best approach is to take here. But you know, it's something that's going to take some developer effort to resolve this. So I don't think we can just merge that patch as it is. It is going to take more work.
So please include me also in that meeting, because ultimately I need to learn about those testing environment. And yeah, so please include me also in that meeting, so that we can proceed with.
Yeah, so
ROC
I may take it in like an hour and a half's time or something, and if that happens, I'll ping you and include you.
Okay, sure, great, thank you.
Thanks.
Yeah, I think I replied on the email thread that it's important that we're able to validate the changes before we merge them. We can't just merge them and hope they work.
Yeah, no, they won't. Okay.
Yeah, even more important if we know they won't. Thank you, Sean.
So so these are the testing testing status that currently AIAB on. So the action plan
So Amol,
is,
can you go back? So there are a lot more tests, at least under the 5G. So that is simulator supports many more tests. Looks like the by default when we do make 5G test, it just runs one of the test cases. So I mean, we can guide you about how we can add more test cases there. So I believe there should be minimum 6 to 7 we should be able to add under a 5G test on the right hand side. So
that will be great, Ajay. That will be great.
Yeah.
Let's work it out together and try to add some more tests.
Yeah, the broader we can make the tests, the better, despite the QA2 lab lack of availability.
Just to be clear, Amol, can you pull up the Aether test view in Jenkins so people can see which jobs we're using for testing?
So these are the tests. This is the cube spray inactive test. Okay, this is failed. Let's go and see the reason.
So just for clarity, our expectation is that this view will contain all the tests used to validate Aether in a Box 2.1.
Yes.
If anybody knows of tests that we should be running that aren't, please let them all know.
Okay.
what you were
Anyway,
referring to earlier?
that's nothing to worry about right now.
Well,
So
but
okay.
I just want to make sure that we all agree on which tests we all believe should be used to validate this release.
Yeah. So
Today or
Ajay,
tomorrow from the
yeah.
community.
Yes. So thank you, Ajay, for raising that point. Let's work together to include more tests on 5G test, and it will create more confidence about the 5G test that we are conducting under the MEC test.
Any issues with that?
You are asking me,
I'm
David?
asking anybody. Does anybody have a problem with that?
No, I don't think that any means.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
I'll shut up now.
Okay. So, right. So regarding the action plan, obviously, I'm please update the release note that we have to be ready around the release 2.1. So the basic question that yesterday raised is that are those tests enough to release 2.1? The test that we are doing currently right now, are those tests enough to release 2.1?
So, well, I guess we heard from AJ that there are more tests, and we're going to try to apply those tests. So I guess there is a separate question about if those additional tests don't work, would we still release 2.1 as is? And I would think the answer is no. So I think there are more tests to come, Amol.
And the scope of the 2.1 release, is it primarily either in a box based release?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so I mean that we have green check marks over there gives me some positive feeling. So just taking those tests and expanding them with the additional ones that AJ has mentioned, that would give us the confidence that the product is working within the scope we expect it to work in.
Right.
So I guess I'm saying yes, pending those additional tests.
Correct. So after including those tests, we can release the Aether 2.1.
Yep.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
sorry. Do we have all of the content in 2.1 yet? I thought we still missing some of that. It's not just our testing validation. The content itself is still missing something, right?
No.
No?
No.
The code that's in the
So
master branch of AIB is all good?
Yeah, all good. So the only question is, last time Badri raised that SD Core want to include in this release 1.3 release. So SD Core team, do you want to say something about that?
Yeah, I think last time I did have a discussion with Ajay and the team for this. It depends on, because we have some, what do you call it? Recommendations from, I think, Intel side that we need to do some security procedures before we can release this SD Core code. And so we probably need some time to run those procedures. So I wouldn't probably wait for that to be done, because that might take some time for those procedures to be done. We're trying to figure out a faster way to do those security tasks on just the delta of code changes that we're doing, but that might still take time. So I would say probably we can continue with the older SD Core release for Ether 2.1.
Okay.
And we'll do a separate SD Core 1.3 release after that.
Let me ask it differently. Is there a reason we would want to have SD Core 1.3 tied to release 2.1 from a functional perspective?
I mean, we have added some few new features, like some metric function and some robustness testing with the multiple instances of some of the network functions in SD Core. So those are some features that we would like to highlight as part of festival, but that's probably not like a showstopper, but those are features that we would like to release that we had committed to as part of 1.3.
But let me suggest we come back to this question mark when we talk about the release contents, because I want to better understand where we stand with the Atomics gRPC changes, which, you know, I want to ask a question where those are aligning with respect to 2.1. So it may be a case of we just push, you know, pieces into 2.1.1 or whatever we call it.
Okay.
Okay. Thanks, Badri.
Okay, thank you, Badri, for the update. So obviously, we will not wait for 1.3. We will use the existing one. So Andy, I want to ask that the recent change regarding the second UPF option, do you want to include that in the 2.1, or we can push that to the next?
Yeah, I wasn't really thinking about that in terms of the 2.1 release.
Okay.
I have been thinking about this from the standpoint of there's plenty of people who have asked the question about how do you add a new slice, and you know, the first step is adding a new UPF and getting the data plane all set up so that the packets will flow. But yeah, I don't think that that's tied, at least in my mind, to a particular release. I think we can wait on that till later.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
Thank you for letting us know.
I think given that we've drawn a boundary around Ether in a box, the urgency for a second UPF is lower, but that to me is a very important element of the overall Ether package. So we should be planning that in.
Okay. So as per my understanding, until now, I have to work with Ajay to include more tests into the AIAB MEC test, as well as with Abhilash and Sean to do API test for AIAB. So those are the two things that are the stoppers for the release 2.1, I think.
We didn't really come back to the issue of the UE not getting an IP address as a blocking bug, if you will. Where do we stand in understanding that problem?
I think last time Andy pointed out that there was some issues in the OAI SIM that used to cause that. For the AIB test to fail intermittently, but I guess that is not related to like the Ether components themselves.
Yeah, that's right. That's my recollection of this, that it's only seen with OAI SIM, and I don't have any further insights about what the exact issue is.
And like those issues won't come in case of a 5G deployment because we use our own simulator in AIB.
Yeah, that's right. GNB SIM seems very solid.
Yep.
Is this something we'd be comfortable just release noting and saying this intermittent failure can occur specifically with OAI SIM?
I think that error is not consistent error. Sometimes it gets IP, sometimes it doesn't get IP. So I think means it's not. I feel that it's not that because last time also Andy told that we have been seeing that error quite long time, but still we are releasing that, and not a single release have mentioned that error. So I think we can just put it there like that. We don't have to mention. What do you think about that, Andy?
I'm fine either way, mention it or not.
I guess I would lean toward mentioning it, that we should disclose things that are not working as expected or might confuse someone who's using it, especially if we do have a recommended resolution. I seem to remember I would run something like make reset test and then make test again. And it would clear up the second time. Do you remember anything like that, Andy or Badri?
Yeah, I think that sounds right. That if you hit that failure, then if you, I don't know, there's something like make reset test and then run it again, then often it will work.
Yeah, it was something like that. I remember. And for me, if I remember right, this was not, it was not a frequent thing. It was a, every so often failure.
Correct. That's why I said it's not stable. It's not always failure.
Yeah.
Sometimes most of the times it is successful, but out of some time, one time it is not successful. But okay, but that's a good approach to put it in the doc.
Is the manifestation obvious to new users? I mean, you guys have all hit it often enough, you recognize the symptoms immediately, but is it obvious enough to new users?
Yeah, you get to the end of the make file and there's no, if I remember right, it doesn't attach or doesn't send packets or something like that. Seemed to me like it was clear that it was not working.
And probably if you see the AMF logs, if you just get the logs, you'll see probably you didn't get any messages, or the OSM didn't send out the messages.
That's the kind of thing I would expect the experts to catch, but if it's in the log file, and something just says, oh, can't connect, then that's awesome. I just want to make sure it was visible enough.
Yeah, that is also visible. Like Scott said, just say the make file endpoint would say not attached.
It would, so in my view, I think it sounds like something that could be release noted. It would be good to be able to show that kind of an error message to say, if you see this, here's what you do. Right, it's an intermittent problem, and also listing out the other alternatives. I know Daniel just commented in the chat that it's not a problem on UE Ransom either, so we can also state alternatives. Okay.
Okay, that's it. That's the only thing from my side.
Great. Thank you, Mo. Where are we at 10:40? Let's go to the release content updates. SD Core 1.3 waiting on Intel.
So we've lost the screen share if that was intended.
So I just realized that. All right. Back now? Yep. Okay. So SD Core waiting on Intel to do security tests. We're going to push this out to the next release. We talked about that one. On the Atomics short-term changes, Sean, I know some of them were lining up with 2.1. Are we still there, or should we consider this a 2.1.1 content?
I think at this stage, 2.1.1.
Okay.
Sean, can you tell me the stuff we did about changing various things to string fields? Did that make it in, or is that going to 2.1.1?
One of them made it in where we restricted the size of a transaction. That's in, but the one that Jordan did, 1606, Amit said they had a problem using it. But I think actually there might be something else masking it. I've asked Amit for more details. I don't see him on the call. So
yeah, actually, I was referring to the modeling changes that we did.
For the SSD and SD?
Oh yeah, they're in.
Okay, so that's all in. Good.
Yeah, to me, that was the fundamental driver of 2.1, was to get that stuff to market.
Right. Well, I mean, there were the modeling changes we kind of left on the table when we transitioned. Plus, there was the changes we made like 2 weeks ago.
Okay.
But Sean says the stuff we made 2 weeks ago is in, and that's what's being tested, and that's what's in the charts. I'm good with that.
Yeah, 2.1.33 has all of that.
Okay, good.
Just to confirm, Sean, that these changes don't need any changes on the SD core front, like that, whatever modeling changes they are doing, or do they need?
Let me see. That's correct. That is correct. It's the rock adapter takes care of them.
Okay.
And so it doesn't affect SD core.
Okay, so it sounds from your description to me that we've closed on the content of 2.1. We're not going to try and shove anything else into it now.
Yeah.
2.1.1 will contain some of the atomic short-term changes. Timing of this. When do you think that those set of changes will be ready to cut to a release?
Yeah, that's a good question. We're having a meeting about this on Thursday, and there are some of the core people that developed honest config are becoming available, and so we're going to prioritize getting these in the next number of weeks.
Okay, so can I ask you to come back next week with at least a view of what the timeline looks like?
Yeah,
So we can start to set some expectations and figure out what content fits 2.1.1 overall.
Yeah,
and that I guess secondarily that's probably the point at which we can consider whether SD Core 1.3 goes in. So the same sort of question with respect to those security scanning tasks and getting timeline on that.
Yeah, we'll probably get a timeline for that, but
Okay.
probably not on Thursday, but we have a separate meeting for that. Yeah.
Yeah, if you can come back by, so if you can give us at least a view for next week, then we can start to line up both content and timing for 2.1.1, Badri.
Sure, we'll do.
Okay, much appreciated. All right. And then on the 2.x, the larger drop.
Before we go on, so well, I guess I'm curious. I went to look at the 2.1 release notes to kind of see what kind of documentation we have on what's documented in. I went on docs.etherproject.org, and there's an Ether 2.1 release, but it looks like it has, I don't know what it is, content from a year ago or something in it. So is that just, anybody know what status that's in? What's going on there?
So let me tell you the details. I have created the tag. So now Sean or Ajay or anyone, so they can open it and they can edit that. So the content what you are seeing is the old content.
So this is really not 2.1. This is 2.0 content.
But if you go down, all the information regarding the hem charts and everything, those are new one.
Yeah, the release notes were updated when we originally created the 2.1 models, which is like 6 months ago or so, and it was never released. So they just need to be updated, I would say, Timon.
So this is not complete, garbage. It's just it's still a mix of kind of some old stuff. It needs a cleanup path, but there's some valid, useful information in here. Yeah.
Yes. Oh, definitely there is. Yeah. Most of it is still relevant. So
is there an authoritative list of the new features, functions that are in 2.1 somewhere? I mean, is this the right place? At one point I saw a wiki as well. Where's the master live?
No, wiki is for only private purpose. Wiki is not for general purpose. This is the general purpose, which will be a public.
I think Timon understands that, but it sounds like there is authoritative information in the wiki that now needs to get into the official release notes.
Okay.
So who's editing that wiki?
So Timon, it may be a little problematic just because 2.1 pre-release has been sitting there for 6 to 9 months. Knowing what was before that would be a little archaeology required, I think. I worry.
So I don't quite understand, Larry. So I'm just trying. Are you saying it's not really worth trying to?
I'm not sure that it's worth. It's been so long that 2.1 has been sitting there unreleased that knowing the difference from what came before it might be a little A, problematic, and B, maybe not all that helpful.
Yeah, I thought Sean or someone sent out an email that listed the things we changed. I mean, there's a few things I believe we know we changed, like changing to target per enterprise. Maybe that was the primary change to the models. I mean, right now it's kind of a confusing read because I think I see what Timon is pointing out. I look at the 2.1 release notes and I see all of the 2.0 bullet points there repeated. It's the 2.0 and 2.1 are saying the same thing to me. You know, these are not 2.1 improvements here. These are the 2.0 improvements. So I would suggest, you know, we gut the list of improvements and try to, you know, at least get a high level regurgitation of what we changed, which like I say, from my memory was the movement to target per enterprise. Is that consistent with your memory, Sean?
Yes, Scott. This, I mean, it was really just a reorganization of it in modeling, and I mean, I think that's their. For instance, I'm just reading through it. Yeah, guardrails are valid. Let me see.
You're reading through the notes, or you're reading through this email that I thought I remember you sending sometime?
Reading through the notes. So I mean, if I was, I think if you just scroll back up a little bit, whoever has a share.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was another page maybe. Yeah. The next page up. This data plane optimization, I don't know about. Is that valid still? That seems.
Yeah, I mean, this is all just talking about the improvements for 2.0.
Yeah, we shouldn't be talking about 2.0 in the 2.1 release notes.
Exactly. I think we should gut all of this and you know, Sean or I should try to remember a bullet point or two about what changed.
Yeah,
plus, you know, we've got the bullet points about what we did last week about you know, the fields that were changed to text fields or whatnot.
Yeah, so I think documenting the model changes, the you know, the change of data typing.
Yeah,
count on you guys to do that. We need to make sure we've got the complete set of you know, limitation of known issues needs to be updated, and the component versions obviously needs to be correctly identified. I don't know to what degree that's still correct or incorrect. And that Amol, that's that one I think falls to you.
Yeah, so those are all updated one. Those numbers that you are seeing right now.
These ones are updated?
Yes.
Okay.
I have to just include their atomic runtime, which is not under the rock, that I will include.
Yeah, and the other two, atomics controller and RAF storage, need to be taken out then.
Yeah.
Okay.
So did I miss it that like since release is not done, why this document got updated here? I mean, probably I was just away for 1 minute or so.
Well, that'll teach you to be away, AJ.
I think the draft of the 2.1 release notes on the doc site is really more of a copy of the 2.0.
Yeah,
it's got some old
But
weird.
that's I think this is not how we had done in the past. We had circulated those draft on the Google Drive, the Google Doc, and once it's approved on the last day when we do release, that's when we commit these doc changes. But this is a bit confusing now.
So
it seems as if.
So Ajay, actually, you remember, I think 1 month back or maybe 1.5 months back, I shared that doc with Scott as well as Sean, but that document has never been updated. So yeah, that's the situation.
No, I mean, Google Doc is one thing, but updating the Aether doc shouldn't be done before release.
Yeah, one of the issues you're going to run into is the way Zach set this up. I think all tags are immutable, and you can't release a tag, so that you publish 2.1.0. We may have to subvert some checks in Jenkins to republish 2.1.0, unless you wanted to go to 2.1.1. I seem to remember before an issue where if I had so much as a typo in a release note, it was like permanent for all time. but we don't have Zach here, so we can probably retag it.
Okay, so let me try and distill it down. It sounds like from a development team, we have to get agreement on the content of the release notes. And then Daph, if you could work with Zach on how we publish it correctly, given that it has already been published.
Okay,
Yeah, I can.
I already know how to publish, so I think I can work on that.
Okay, good. And you can retag it as 2.1.0 if that's what needs to be done. I just forget how exactly Zach had this tagging stuff up, but I remember there was an issue that, you know, we wanted the tagging to be like the very last thing we did. We didn't want to like tag and then update. We wanted to update and then tag. But it's all Git, so it should all be fixable.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's a fair approach. We should just, you know, make sure we're following correctly, which means I think we need to circulate the draft of the release notes internally, whether it's by document, email, carrier pigeon, or otherwise.
Yeah.
Who has them? Who's going to own this? You know, and where's the draft?
I'll start the draft and start that conversation with the stakeholders.
Yeah, if you can share that draft with Sean and I, you know, we'll try to add some bullet points, but you know, if you guys can, you know, own the process of creating the draft, turning the draft into the release notes, and then fixing the tagging versioning so that it it shows up right on the doc site. And like I say, I'm sure it's all fixable. It just as long as you can figure out how to do it.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, we've got the mechanics of it, and I'll start circulating the content for review and update. Okay. All right. So that was the Atomics 2.1.1. Jump back. So now the larger drop of the Atomics changes, Sean, Jordan, emits. Any timeline visibility on that one? And I'm not looking for exact numbers here because I know it's a work in progress.
Yeah, I mean it's part of the process was, you know, kicking off Thursday. Those developers have become available, so I'll have a better answer for you next week.
Okay. And any insight into the changes coming from the Pronto project inside of Intel and sort of just generally what areas are under development so that we can start being a little more proactive about what test beds we need, what testing we need, etc. Scott, I'm not sure if you have visibility into this or who might have visibility into this.
Yeah, I mean, I have visibility into parts of it. You know, for example, we did some modularization of the adapter code, but we haven't updated the adapter proper. So basically, we took the adapter and we abstracted out all of the common code so that we have a common library we can use to base other adapters on. And if we were still working on this, then our next task would be to update the SD core adapter to use that more modern version of the library. So yeah, you'll get the library, but not necessarily the adapter. You may or may not get a new GUI. I mean, I think we have to go through channels to figure out what you can and cannot get. I mean, I would think I would, and Sean, you could let me know your opinion, but I would think that the new GUI would be a very likely thing that we would send their way.
Yeah, I guess from my perspective, I wasn't so much asking for, do you have a definitive list, today? When do we think we would have the shape of that list, the areas covered? We don't need to dive into specific, features or capabilities, just so we can start planning, particularly around lab and test resources.
Yeah, I don't know. So we have all managed to become extremely busy on a project, and I'm going to need to get some time to find someone I can ask to figure out where, what the expectation is on the timeline for releasing this. So
Okay, yeah. So if I can give you that action, then I'll keep pinging in, but just trying to get the plan for a plan here.
yeah, keep bugging me, and eventually I'll manage to get something, something that'll satisfy us all.
Excellent. Got it in my calendar. Bug Scott daily.
Yes, bug me until you get a response.
Got it. Okay. All right. Any other topics we need to cover? We're right at the top of the hour. Going once, going twice. Sold. Thank you all for your participation today. Appreciate it. We'll talk next week, if not before.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
bye all.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.